Let's pay attention. Everybody that read the oral statements and prophecies of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, when he went to the Pan American Conference in Cuba and received the mandate that the United States has to exercise jurisdiction on this land, the 50-year mandate was this treaty, and here's the proof. Article 25. This treaty shall continue in force with the help of God for 50 years. After the expiration of which term, the treaty shall continue to be binding on both parties until the one shall give 12 months notice to the other of an intention to abandon it, in which case its operation shall cease at the end of the 12 months. So that means they're still allowed to do commercial activities within the dominions of Morocco, the Moroccan Empire, under this treaty. This treaty is commercial law, not the Uniform Commercial Code. This treaty. We're secured party creditors by way of the Constitution for the United States, because, let me make that clear too, right here, Article 23, where it says, this second part right here, and if any of the citizens of the United States shall contract any debts or engagements, that's all they can contract, because they don't own any land. They don't have an inheritance. They're the citizens of the United States, which only apply to foreign, Occidental, European colonists, males, and their subject women. That's what they set up with our forefathers. Those are debtors, because they are, well, when you go to the Article 4 of the what is that called? Articles of Confederation, Article 4. It identifies the status of citizens of the United States, or no, excuse me, citizens of the several states as paupers, which was poor people, vagabonds, which is wanderers, they wandering, they ain't got no land, and fugitives from justice, which is people trying to escape the law. That's their status. So all they can contract is debts or engagements. And if they do contract any debts or engagements, it says the consul of the United States of America shall not be in any manner accountable for them, unless he shall have given a promise in writing for the payment or fulfilling thereof, without which promise in writing no application to him for any redress shall be made. This is the commercial law that allows citizens of the several states of the Union to do business with Moors in our dominions. Not any, this is the supreme law of the land. This is what we need to be enforcing.
What happened? How did we get so far away from where we were to where we are now? And I guess the biggest question is, how do we get back?
Well, Tariq Bey always talks about how we lost it, which is very important, because if you don't know how the attack was made upon you by the opponent, then they're able to do it again.
Absolutely.
So you want to know that, yes, during the time of slavery, connotatively speaking, because we weren't slaves, they restricted all Moors subjects who were the subjects of these dominions that were branded Negro, black, colored, etc., from reading. And then after the Emancipation Proclamation and all of that, they did what is called military training operations, teaching us, or should I say, what's the proper word? Indoctrinating us with what is called connotative linguistics. And that's where we are right now. Connotative language. We speak based off of what we feel the word means and not what the actual word means. And feeling is only one sense. We got 7 senses. That's one. Feeling. You got taste, you got seeing, smelling, what's the senses.
Hearing.
Hearing, intuition, and insight.
Mhm.
Those are the 7 senses. So we are tracked in one sense, the feeling. Oh, I feel like you was trying to say this. Or I feel like they trying to do that. Well, I feel like they saying this for real. No. If anything you get right, anything you say can and will be used against you, which is what they used to say. Now they don't even say that anymore because they know that we're learning how to read, because we didn't know how to read before. And the proof of it was when they put handcuffs on us, a part of their little speech was anything you say can and will be used against you, because they know they taught us connotative linguistics. And that's where we are right now. That's where we are right now, and that's what we have to come out of collectively, because we all are responsible for what we say, because what we say is what precedes our actions and our deeds. And it changes when you learn how to properly read anything. It changes the dynamic of what you're looking at. Your whole perception changes. You start having aha moments when you read things with a dictionary. You see, and then you have to know how to use the dictionary because it's a tool. So that's where we lost that. That's where we're still falling behind that. And it starts with knowing the word, even the word consul, because there's a lot of people thinking we are not supposed to exercise consular jurisdiction, when in actuality, it says in our very treaty, that's the only platform that we settle any disputes. Article 20 and Article 21. And when we're dealing with inheritances, Article 22. When we're dealing with debts and engagements, Article 23. Now, if they gave up their consular jurisdiction, which was allowed by treaty, then who says that the other party, which is the Moroccan Empire, cannot exercise consular jurisdiction, not in the United States, at the United States? Because that's a jurisdiction. It's not land, it's jurisdiction. And then when we look at the word jurisdiction is a compound word. The first word in jurisdiction is juris. That means law or right. Diction means speech or language. So jurisdiction is law language. It ain't a physical thing, it's a language.
Another light bulb just went off.
It's a language.
So here we are. It's just like God is a verb.
Yes.
And people are making God a thing, a being, a thing.
Yeah.
Jurisdiction is
it's law language.
Law language. How you speak.
Which asserts authority. It asserts authority because jurisdiction is also authority, because law is authority. So they can tell if you're standing on your jurisdiction by your language. So if you're not speaking treaty right or treaty obligation, what jurisdiction are you speaking? Because these are the principles, the ancient principles of our foremothers and forefathers. It's the treaty and constitution. And those principles predate the treaty and constitution.
Wow.
Yes. So when Drew Ali said, stop serving cardinal customs and merely ideas of men that have never done you any good but have always harmed you, he was talking about the foreign gods, the foreign invocations of Europe, of whom we knew nothing. And we're still doing it. Oh, UCC, we got to do the UCC. Got to put the lien on the straw man. You ain't got nothing to do with that straw man. Nothing to do with the UCC. You didn't even know that they were putting debts against themselves, because that straw man doesn't represent you. They put a debt against themselves. They're charging themselves, because the straw man is a creature of the United States Corporation Company under the 14th Amendment, which is all void. That's called a diversion. All of it is a diversion. And it's known by the language. All you got to do is read it. So, getting back to the point, Article 20 deals with civil. Article 21 deals with criminal. This congressional act known as Title 22, 141 through 143. This is what it looked like. This is now repealed. They gave up their extraterritorial jurisdiction in Morocco. So that means the powers that they once had, the judicial powers that they once had under Article 3 of the Constitution, Article 3, Section 1 and 2, is reserved to the people. So that means we have to exercise the legislative, executive, and judicial branch of government because we are the government, the republic. And it is done under consular jurisdiction. So since this act was approved and they relinquished consular jurisdiction, they now ask the question, well, what are your thoughts on foreign policy? See what foreign policy means. Let's go to Google. I don't suggest Google.
Sounds to me like anything they put forth is foreign. It's foreign to us.
Yes, yes. So I always wondered, every time there was an election, they always talked about foreign policy and they kind of brush over it a little bit, give their little opinions, and then they move forward. And then when I came into this movement, because, I used to work at the United States Department of State. I wasn't nothing big. I was just, I started off as an intern, then I became a federal employee with a top secret security clearance. Anything past the top secret security clearance, you got to do the polygram. What was the polygram test when they ask you questions and see if you're lying or not? What's it called? Polygraph test. I wasn't with that. I'm private. I don't want nobody to know what my deepest dark secrets are. None of that. So I wasn't with giving up my my freedoms and my privacy. So I stopped right there. But foreign policy. Look what it says. A government strategy in dealing with other nations. That's foreign policy. So the United States foreign policy is called Consular Notification and Access. This manual was issued by the United States Department of State. It's issued every so years, updated. This is the 5th edition, which was issued September 2018. And look at what it's for. This is proof that it's foreign policy. Instructions for federal, state, and local law enforcement and other officials regarding foreign nationals in the United States and the rights of consular officials to assist them. Now, of course, the foreign nationals would not be in the United States. They're talking about the commerce because the United States is only dealing in commercial activity under the treaty. So let's see who the foreign nationals are.
Everything else they do is de facto.
Yes.
It's not a part of their treaty that's still in effect.
Exactly. So everything else they're doing is outside of the constitutional fold, which includes the treaty, which is a breach of trust. They breached the treaty, but they need the heirs to be incompetent and abandon their nationality, citizenship, and birthright. They need that in order for them to continue these operations.
Wardship tenure that Grand Sheik just spoke of. They want us to be incompetent at wards where the ward is now, someone else is handling the affairs of the incompetent minor, whatever you would call that, ward of the state property.
Yes, exactly. And a ward is also known as a stateless person, a person without a nationality or a nation, because all people have nationalities. But in order for you to be stateless, because remember, state is status, it's state of mind. You got to be out of your damn mind. You got to be outside the constitutional fold of your government, which is your body, because Constitution means body. Doesn't just mean the document. No, Constitution is a body. And that's why on the left side of the Federal Reserve on the back, that I is disconnected from the body of the pyramid. Because they're saying our minds is disconnected from our body. We are outside of the constitutional fold of government. Because government is you. And government is me and us. Everybody looking. So let's look at about this manual. The purpose of this manual, I'm gonna get right to the point, this second paragraph. This manual is designed to help ensure that foreign governments can extend appropriate consular services to their nationals in the United States, and that the United States complies with its legal obligations to such governments. These legal obligations arise primarily from treaties, which form part of the supreme law of the land under Article 6 of the United States Constitution. The instructions and guidance contained in this manual must be followed by all federal, state, and local government officials, whether law enforcement, judicial, or other, insofar as they pertain to foreign nationals subject to the official's authority or to matters within the official's competence. So, this foreign policy is what they use to be in compliance with treaty obligations. So, in other words, this is the language that they're learning so that when they interface with other foreign governments via their embassies or their consulates, this is the language that they will speak. So when you think foreign, don't think land, think jurisdiction, because there is two jurisdictions operating on this land, the Moroccan Empire and the United States of North America. This land is under international binding treaty law. So the question, who is a foreign national? Watch this. This is the answer. Look at the answer. For the purposes of consular notification and the instructions in this manual, a foreign national is any person who is not a U.S. citizen. Well, would you look at that? So if we're calling ourselves nationals of the land and we're interacting with the foreign United States, then the foreign United States will identify us as foreign nationals because we are not U.S. citizens. Then it says, there are rare situations in which a person is neither a U.S. citizen nor a foreign national, i.e. is stateless. In such a case, consular notification requirements do not apply. You all know who the stateless persons are: Negro, Black, colored, Indian, African American, Spanish, as that term is used over here, because we're not Spanish. And that's including the South American Moors. You're not Spanish. All of that comes under the status or classification stateless. Thus, treaty obligations don't apply. When it says consular notification, that's treaty obligation. So we would identify ourselves to all the foreign operatives of the United States Corporation Company as foreign nationals. Because think jurisdiction, not physical location. So the next question, is a foreign national the same as an alien? Yes, for the purposes of this manual, and the purpose of this manual is to keep all color of law enforcement agencies in compliance with treaty obligations. That is for all of the heirs that have not given up their birthright and that knows how to enforce treaty obligations. Next question, are citizenship and nationality the same thing? Answer, yes, for the purposes of consular notification and access. Nationality is not religion, just like citizenship is not religion. However, your nationality, which is your citizenship, does come with the principles and creed of your foremothers and forefathers, because you got your citizenship by jus sanguinis, right of blood. That means you're keeping to the creed and principles of your forefathers and foremothers. You are still called by who they are. Now, getting to a very pertinent question. We should study this manual because this is their law language when they speak to us. This is how they speak to us if we're competent. So let's learn their language, because these questions are raised for them. So let's read it. They're the opponent, right?
Yeah.
And we're the game. The game is our birthright. So question, short of asking all detainees about their nationality, how might I know that someone is a foreign national? If you do not routinely ask each person you arrest whether he or she is a U.S. citizen, you will need to develop other procedures for determining whether you have arrested or detained a foreign national and for complying with consular notification requirements. A driver's license issued in the United States will not normally provide information sufficient to indicate whether the license holder is a U.S. citizen. That's why Noble Drew Ali said, keep all old business the same. Do all new business in your free national name. He did not say, go back, change your driver's license to L or Bay. He didn't say that because
And
that
some
does
people have
not.
done that. Yeah, some have done that.
Yes. So
Some
they
have
just,
taken their birth certificates to, Secretary of State and had them authenticated. Like, how are you going to have a fraud authenticate a fraud?
exactly. And look, what they actually did was they just gave validity to the fraud instrument that was used to steal their birthright in the first place.
Right.
And they did it in their proper person. Well, ignorance of the law excuses no one. Then it says, nor does the fact that a person has a social security number indicate that the person is necessarily a U.S. citizen. People have done that too. Those are not identification documents or identification instruments. They are bottomry instruments used to borrow against your estate via the straw man, because that straw man does not identify you. A foreign national may present as identification a foreign passport or consular identity card issued by his government. The consular identity card is called the national identity card. And yes, it will be issued by your government via consular authority. What do we need identification cards, national identification cards, if we're going to only intermingle with each other? The only reason why you would need a national identity card is to identify yourself to other diverse nations, people that are foreign to you. So that's called, everyone that issues an identity card, that's a consular act. It's a consular act, whether you like it or not. It's a consular act. Then it says, or an alien registration document issued by the U.S. government. That's when you want to give up your birthright, give up your nationality of your nation as a foreign national to become a stateless person, U.S. citizen under the 14th Amendment. Got a right to do that because you have a right to contract. And over here, are foreign nationals required to carry identity documents that indicate their nationality? Do consular notification procedures have to be followed if I can't verify a detainee's nationality through documentation? Answer, federal law requires that most foreign nationals carry immigration documents with them at all times while in the United States. Keyword, most.
Not all.
Not all. However, arresting officers will frequently come across aliens without documentation identifying their countries of nationality. Excuse me. It is the arresting officer's responsibility to inquire about a person's nationality if there is any reason to believe that he or she is not a U.S. citizen. In all cases where an arrestee claims to be a non-U.S. citizen, arresting officers should follow the appropriate consular notification procedures, even if the arrestee's claim cannot be verified by documentation. So this is the challenge that I put out to everyone. Go to wherever the police in your county or city or state, the sheriffs of your county, the state police, U.S. Marshal, anyone that's claiming to enforce law or claiming to be law enforcement agencies, go to their policy and look up in their policy, foreign nationals and diplomats. I guarantee you will see consular notification and access, because this is their foreign policy. The foreign policy for all policy enforcers.
So let me ask you a question. So with regard to Moors, when they ended consular courts it was specifically for Moorish, for the Moors that were here, not the other so-called, well, anybody else that they would call a need for a consular court to resolve their issues. Where they looked, because we were claimed as their property, but we were told we couldn't be citizens. So what are we? What were we in their eyes?
Good question. It's all in the treaty. Every answer is in the treaty. That was a good question. So I'm going to read from Article 6 in part. Article 6 of the treaty.
That's good. Somebody wanted you to elaborate on Article 6, so please do.
Yes. It says, if any Moor, not a subject of these dominions, shall make prize of any of the citizens of America or their effects, and bring them into any of the ports of his majesty, they shall be immediately released, as they will then be considered as under his majesty's protection. So these Moors that are subjects of these dominions are the Moors that gave up their birthright and inheritances and claimed to be Negro, black, and colored, and also followed the foreign gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. Those Moors, stateless Moors, were made prize of any of the citizens of America. So let's look up prize in the Black's Law Dictionary.
Is that like booty and prize?
Yes, booty. The question was, what were we? We were booty. The Moors that gave up their nationality and birthright, that is.
And it's funny, I was thinking about in terms of people, period, while you're, all these different terms for us. I heard them talk about the V that people are getting. When would we get to a place where it reaches herd immunity? I was like, well, that damn sure sounds like cattle or something. Well,
yes.
And they're saying when a certain number of people get the V, then we'll achieve herd immunity.
Look what the V means. I'm gonna put it right here in Google.
The V. I
know. I got you.
That right there. They're saying we'll reach herd immunity. So that's like cattle.
Look what the V meant back then, or origin, because this is the origin, not what it meant back then. Excuse me. What it still means, but connotatively, they've changed it. But they can't change the truth. The truth don't change. Look, late 18th century from Latin, vacinus, from vaca, which means what? What does that say?
I don't know. I can't see it.
Yeah. Oh, means cow.
Oh, okay.
What a coincidence.
Herd, no wonder they herd immunity. Herd immunity. I think that sounds like cow.
Hey, look, the truth is always in the word, and like Grand Sheik Tariq Bey always says, the culture is in the language.
Yes, absolutely.
So you got to study the word.
Yep.
So where was we at?
We digressed, but that was a good digression.
Yes, it was. Because
this is an example of what we are dealing with and how we're being viewed, what we are considered.
Yes, cow, herd, or what is the other term?
Chattel.
Yes.
Chattel and cattle. Yep.
Yes. Now it started with us being considered prize.
Booty and prize. That's like pirates, booty, prize.
Yes, because that's what they're doing.
Admiralty. They're on the high seas and they're doing piracy.
Yes. So prize, page 1080 in the Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition. We're gonna go straight to it for the sake of time.
Oh, we got time. We can go over.
Okay. A vessel or cargo belonging to one of the two belligerent powers apprehended or forcibly captured at sea by a war vessel or privateer of the other belligerent, and claimed as enemy's property, and therefore liable to appropriation and condemnation under the laws of war.